The scene is set at the Cabal House of Clan Tremere. John Stanhope, Ventrue Primogen, has sent a missive to the Cabal House and Clan Tremere that he wishes to discuss with them certain information in which he has unearthed in his latest schemes throughout the city, and is overjoyed in the fact that he has been accepted with a meeting with the Regent himself. Taking this as a very positive sign, John arrives promptly in his black Mercedes and waits out the door, leaving his retainers behind as a show of good faith.
The door to the 5-storey townhouse will be answered promptly by one of the house staff. They'll look Mr. Stanhope over. Good evening, sir. You have an appointment?
I do indeed, with Malcolm Brodie Innes.
And your name, sorry, sir, happens to be?
He raises an eyebrow at the ineptitude of staff nowadays. John Stanhope.
The man that opened the door checks a list on a table sort of behind, just slightly behind the door. Mr. Stanhope, do come in. The Mr. Brodie Innes is expecting you.
Thank you. He limps in, leaning heavily on his cane, taking in the decor. He's been here before, but it's always an impressive sight. Such a concentrated house of learning.
The girl closes the door behind you and offers to take your coat if you so desire.
He'll sling his coat towards the retainer, giving him very little mind.
The retainer heads down the hall and places it on the coat stand. He heads up the stairs to speak with the Regent. On his return, he informs you the Regent will be a couple of minutes, and he shows you to the public library / study. He offers you a seat and offers any beverages if you wish.
John waves away the invitation to dine, but he will immediately look at all the bookshelves with quite an eager mind, looking over the different titles of the covers and what subjects are for general perusal.
The Regent says he will be a couple of minutes. I will leave you to get comfortable. The ghoul bows slightly in your presence and backs out of the room and heads off about his business. The Regent eventually comes down the stairs, keeping you waiting a little bit longer than perhaps you'd like. It's sort of edging closer to 7 minutes. But he comes down, greets you with a bow. Primogen Stanhope.
Regent. I suppose Regent Brodie Innes is appropriate. He reaches out a hand. It is good to see you again.
The Regent will take the hand and shake it quite abruptly. He seems a little bit, well, not necessarily out of character, but he seems a bit riled. But he offers a seat to you and sort of sits down opposite the small round table.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you. I know your time is precious. How is your garden?
It comes along quite well, although I've had not as much time to tend it as I would like. Things have been rather busy of late. I trust you were offered the utmost hospitality.
Of course. No complaints.
You've not got a drink, but he just checks to make sure you were at least offered.
So, Regent, it seems that the city has been very busy. Well, at least for the general gossip of things amongst the city. The court itself has been exceedingly quiet as of late, something I hope to rectify soon.
The court indeed seems to drag its heels.
Quite. It's disappointing that such lack of integral structure seems to pervade the city. But as long as we have agile minds within the city, I'm sure it will not be a common occurrence in the future.
I would hope not. A city without structure falls into ruin all too quickly.
Precisely. You just need to see the domains of the Anarchs to see what lies on the other side of the bridge when organization is waylaid for idealism.
Tell me, Primogen Stance, what brings you here this evening?
John smiles a little wickedly, obviously seeing the Regent's impatience and lack of, I don't know, patience for the general sort of banal chitter-chatter that most politicians would go into. Regent Brodianus, I'm sure you're aware that I have never made a secret that my interest is in the medical community within the city. As such, I have allowed certain deals between your clan and myself to take place. It was during one of these little get-togethers with your young neonate, Dr. Pullman, where we were going to expand our influence into one of the hospitals of the general area in the middle-class district, I think. When we came across a little bit of trouble, unused to such resistance over our administrations, I decided to look into it. And I unearthed something I think you and your clan will be very interested in. I hear you've had all sorts of trouble with a certain scandal as of late.
It seems to have blown over as far as the media is concerned, but of course we still would like to find the culprit, question him, ask him why he felt the need to try and besmirch our clan's good name.
Just so. Would it shock you for me to reveal that I in fact know exactly who did this?
No, Mr. Stanhope, I don't think it would shock me. A man of your standing in this city, I'm sure you hear many things. You have many eyes in many places. I'm sure if I hadn't appointed some of my apprentices to the situation, I myself may have known by this point who was behind this.
Well, if the Tremere wish, I can set up a meeting with the culprit. However, I have to keep the running of the city and the general well-being of the Camarilla in mind. Regent, I'm sure you can understand that this culprit will be questioned by you, but not harmed. I do not want a diplomatic incident occurring from this. I am simply acting as a middleman for the betterment of two differing factions within our organization.
The diplomatic incident, Primogen Stanhope, has already occurred. Whoever this culprit is will face some form of punishment.
Just so. I am not saying they get off scot-free. The culprit in question came to me, and after some interrogation, revealed the truth of why he did this, which interested me greatly. I have spoken with him and told him that reparations will have to be paid, and he is more than willing to submit himself to any price of boons in which the Tremere will feel fair for this besmirchment of their name. But I think what you will be more interested in is the why.
If this culprit offers himself up to Primogen Brodianus, it is after all his good name he tried to smear, then that will be fine. Now, as to the why he did it, I'm not sure if I will be concerned.
That is obviously your prerogative, Regent. Some kindred like to see a wider picture, but if you prefer to take every event as it comes, it is certainly a way of dealing with this city. Doesn't complicate it much.
Sometimes it is best to play the cards that you have in your hand.
I always prefer to think of the city more like a game of chess. If you do not see 5 moves ahead of your opponent, then you will find yourself with very little in the way of defense.
That much is true, but like a hand of cards, you never know what the next card being dealt is going to be. And if you prepare for 5 moves ahead when someone plays an unexpected move, that throws your defense and your careful planning somewhat into disarray and takes you a few moves to counteract it. However, you seem to wish to partake on further discussion as to the whys and wherefores of this event. So please allow me to sit back and let you regale me with the why of it all.
Well, it is good to see that Clan Tremere are always grateful for their allies succumbing to them first. The gentleman in question is a man by the name of Eric Summers, a Nosferatu nobody. Has a interest in computing and all those other technological things that, in all fairness, pass me by. But he has been a regular at my casino for some time, and one of the rabble that has a tendency to speak their mind when a few drinks are poured down them. A resource I always find very agreeable in my line of work. He came to me, not the sheriff, not the prince, because he believed I would be able to mitigate an understanding between Clan Tremere and his idiotic actions. After I finally got the truth from him, it appears that he was employed by a kindred in which I do not know to sully your good name, and him, being a young fool, did it without thinking of the consequences.
So this all comes down to money.
With the young, it usually does.
He clearly has not got an understanding of Clan Tremere. No amount of money should make one wish to cross us. As to the one who did the hiring, what do you know of them?
A vague description. I have to say that I do not recognize the kindred in question. Will have to be something that you discuss with Mr. Summers yourself.
I'm sure we will bring Mr. Summers in, and I'm sure he will find our hospitality quite enjoyable.
If you say so, Mr. Brodianus, but do recall that a hostile action such as that might convoke the ire of Miss Virginia, and the worst thing that could happen to this city at the moment is the Nosferatu and the Tremere biting at each other.
I can think of worse things. But as I say, we will be hospitable. To a point.
I will leave it to your capable hands, Regent. It is always satisfying to help Clan Tremere.
More satisfying to help us than it is to cross us or withhold information from us.
Precisely, and it is spoken about in all the courts how generous Clan Tremere are of their allies.
We're here to serve the Camarilla. If those in the Camarilla serve us, then we, by proxy, serve them. However, if some young, foolish neonate chooses to try and drag that into the dirt, then he has to be taught a lesson. What that lesson may be, I will leave that up to the Primogen. Perhaps a public apology might be in order. The next Prince's Elysium, if he ever holds them. They seem to be very few and far between.
If you need a public forum for such an event, then do not hesitate to ask. It seems that my casino is a de facto Elysium nowadays.
Quite the privilege for you, I'd imagine.
Privilege, burden, responsibility. The words can interchange during the time.
Very well, Primogen Stanhope. Thank you for this news. If you are in need of anything, do let me know, and I will be sure to see what I can do to facilitate you in any way I can.
It is always reassuring to hear, Regent Brodianus. I suspect there will be great things done between our clans in the coming months. And with that, he smiles broadly and takes over a hand to shake you once again.
Regent offers his quite happily. Shakes it very businessman-like.
Taking his nod as his dismissal, John gets up, bows slightly in respect but not deference, and limps out of the room.
Regent sits and thinks on various things. He is not all too happy given the news he was given previously this evening by his apprentices, and now a member of Clan Ventru has come to him with the answers that he tasked his apprentices to find. He waits for a while before leaving the public library and heading up to his study. He'll need to speak with his brother soon. He closes the door, picks up his books from where he left them, and continues his studies.